everyone, welcome to another episode of Salivate with Mates. Today we are going to be working on Ohana bread. Now there is like a second part that you can do to this where you make this delicious bread pudding with a banana Foster's sauce, which is basically like a rum and sugar sauce, which I will probably do on another video because otherwise this will be super long. So as a heads up, we are making the bread from scratch in this video. As usual, the link for the recipe I've used will be available. I have converted everything over to units for the UK, just to make it a little bit easier for those of us on this side of the pond. It is basically a pineapple and coconut bread. So it's a sweet bread. It's delicious. It will take, this is a long recipe to cook because the bread is going to go from scratch, like I said, it's basically going to go all the way from the beginning, so it has to prove and stuff like that. Now there is a recipe available where you can do it with brioche or French stick, which is completely feasible. However, I'm going to give it a try doing the full bread on this one. So as usual, I have got a nice graphic for you with the ingredients listed, which I will show for you now. Now bear in mind, one thing that we do is whenever I'm making a recipe, I tend to half the ingredients for it because only Em and I in the house, so there's no point us eating the sheer amount of bread that this recipe would make. So be warned, if there are a lot of you in the house, or if you're really hungry, then do double what I'm making. But if you ever looked at the original recipe versus the ingredients I'm giving you, I'm always doing a half version of what the actual recipe says. Now in the proper recipe, this technically makes 4 Ohana loaves. So if you want 4 loaves of this delicious bread, then make it. So cool, I will go and show you the ingredients now. Okay guys, so there are 2 parts to this recipe. So the first bit that you want to make sure that you get done first is the pineapple and coconut sort of mix that gets kneaded into the bread. So you use crushed pineapple. What I did was I got some frozen pineapple and I quickly chucked it in a food processor, so it just broke it up a little bit so you don't have massive clumps of pineapple in the bread. Desiccated coconut, some corn flour, and some sugar for this recipe. Now once again, this is a sweet bread, so please don't be surprised with the amount of sugar that you're putting in, and if you are making the full recipe, you will notice that I have a lot less ingredients than you do. So it calls for high gluten flour. I've just put bread flour, just normal white flour in here. Also calls for some water, egg yolk, shortening, some yeast, and some more sugar. So without further ado, let us get making to the bread. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is mix the corn flour in with the sugar, and you want to make sure that's mixed in really well, because you are about to mix it in with the desiccated coconut and the pineapple. So make sure you mix those 2 together separately and then combine the corn flour and sugar in with the pineapple and the coconut. Once you finish with that, you want to make sure you put it in the fridge for at least an hour just for it to mix together. Then you're going to put the water, egg yolk, shortening, flour, salt, sugar and instant yeast all together inside your KitchenAid or mixing bowl, however you're doing it. You can see I'm quite lazy here and I'm going to be using a KitchenAid. However, you can just use your hands, there's no problem doing that. I'm just lazy and using this instead. Eventually, when it all combines together and pretty much the mixture is not on the side of the bowl, you know it's good and ready. You're going to get ready to proof that, so you want to take your dough hook off or leave it in the bowl and cover it with cling film and leave it in a warm place. I left mine in my conservatory to rise. Once it's doubled in size, you can then go and get that ready to start spreading it out. You're going to put this on a floured surface and you're going to use a rolling pin ideally. If you don't have one, pressing it out with your hands is absolutely fine, as you can see I'm doing here. You are about to get ready to put your mixture in onto the dough as well. Now you spread the mixture across the dough and you're basically going to fold the dough over itself a couple of times just to combine that mixture. You may get little pops where you get little chunks of pineapple come out or bits of moisture. That's not a problem, just make sure you've folded it over a couple of times.
You're going to get yourself a bread tin or a baking tin. This one that I picked out was far too small, so you'll see in a minute I get another one. Now, you want to cut it up into little strips, and when you put it into your pan, you'll see when I get the bigger pan in a second what I mean. But also make sure that you do grease that baking tin as well, because you don't want the bread to get stuck. So you can see it doesn't properly fill the tin at the moment. We're going to put it in a oven to proof for until it gets about halfway up the sides, which you'll see there. I put my oven at this point on the lowest possible setting. Then you're going to turn your oven up to about 165 degrees Celsius, and you're going to put the bread in for about 25 minutes. So my oven seems to always take a lot longer than other ovens, so you'll see that I'll be getting it out in a minute. It's not ready, so I put it in for a little bit longer. You know your oven better than anyone, so make sure that it's to your liking. You'll see in a second what sort of colour you want from there, so it's nice and golden. It's almost ready at this point, so I put it in for 3 more minutes. And there, that's the colour that you're looking for with this bread. The Instagram shot. And then, because we're using this towards the bread pudding recipe as well, you can see that I'm just cutting it up into cubes because this is going to be put into a mixture to soak.
Okay, so quite a few hours after we began, you will have seen me cutting up the Ohana breakfast bread, and I'm going to have a little bit now. We've put a massive chunk of it aside because we're going to be making the Ohana Bread Pudding, which is served in the evenings at the Polynesian Resort. So this is what they serve at breakfast, and then they do like a bananas Foster bread sauce that goes with this as a bread pudding. But we're going to try this. So if you want to see this, next week's episode will be us doing the bananas Foster's sauce. So if you want to make this, you want to wait until we've done that. However, just the bread, absolutely fine by itself. So, don't know if this is going to focus with my face in it. But you basically get little chunks of pineapple. I think because I blended it up so small, it's quite nice because you don't necessarily get a massive chunk of pineapple, but it's caramelized a little bit. That is really good. Very good sweet bread. You could probably have it with just some, a little bit like a cinnamon bun where you make an icing sugar, an icing mix and put that over the top. That'd be really good as like a lunch treat. That'd be great as just a normal cake.
With butter on it. I'll give you a bit with butter.
I'm going to try a bit of butter on it. My assistant has come up with a very good idea.
Salted butter.
I'm gonna have a bit of salted butter on it, which I imagine would taste very good. So yeah, thank you. That is what hot cross buns should be. That is,
Banging?
Banging. Sorry, lost for words. That was good. I'm gonna toast some of that. So make this for however you wish. You can have it with this bananas Foster sauce that'll be out on another video. You can toast it and put some butter on it because that's delicious. Having it by itself is absolutely fine, and as I say, putting an icing sugar mix over the top of it would be probably it'd probably be a different take to a cinnamon bun. So yeah, if you've liked this video, please like and comment down below and let us know what you thought. Please head over to our Facebook group called Salivate with Mates and share your creations. They don't necessarily have to be something that I've created. If there's something that you're particularly proud of, share it on there. You can follow me on Instagram at notyour_averagejones, and we'll see you again next week with the bread pudding recipe. Thanks very much.